Hello, today I'll be discussing a recent business news story about Apple's lawsuit against OpenAI. This case is important because it highlights how competitive the AI industry has become. Throughout the presentation, I'll explain what happened, why it matters to the business, how it connects onto chapters from HBR 100, and I'll also use several factfulness principles to show how looking at the story from multiple perspectives gives us a deeper understanding than simply readings from the headlines. Okay, the news article itself. Apple filed a lawsuit claiming that several former employees who worked in a confidential AI hardware projects left the company and joined OpenAI. Apple argues that these employees took sensitive information related to future AI devices, while OpenAI denies these allegations. This story matters because the intellectual property is one of the most valuable parts of technologies companies have. As businesses invest billions of dollars into AI, protecting research, trade secrets, and employees has become increasingly important. The outcome of this case could influence how technology companies recruit employees and protect confidential information in the future. Why this matters to the business. This lawsuit is about much more than a disagreement between two companies. It reflects a larger problem because becoming a leader in artificial intelligence. Businesses around the world are investing heavily in AI because it can improve productivity, tasks, and create entirely new products and services. At the same time, companies must balance innovation with legal and ethical responsibilities. This case reminds us that success in today's business environment depends not only on creating new technology, but also on protecting the knowledge that makes the technology possible. How this relates to HBR 100 and the chapters that we use. I felt like chapter 17 showed a lot of this since it's about AI, so the business of artificial intelligence. This chapter explains that AI is considered a general purpose technology, meaning it has the potential to transform nearly every industry, much like electricity or the internet did. Companies that successfully adopt AI can gain a major competitive advantage. This connects directly to Apple's lawsuit because the company believes its AI knowledge and research are valuable strategic assets. Protecting that knowledge helps Apple remain competitive in an industry where innovation happens very quickly. The second chapter that I found from HBR 100 is the Disruptive Technologies, Chapter 6. The chapter explains the disruptive technologies often begin in small markets before becoming mainstream and changing entire industries. Companies that ignore these changes often lose their leadership position. Artificial intelligence is one of today's most disruptive technologies. Apple recognizes this and continues investing heavily in AI. While also protecting its innovations, this lawsuit demonstrates how seriously companies take disruptive technology because their future success depends on staying ahead of competitors. Based on these HBR chapters, I believe we will continue to see major investments in AI over the next several years. Companies will compete even more aggressively to hire talented AI engineers, develop new products, and protect intellectual property. We may also see additional lawsuits involving trade secrets as competition increases. Businesses that successfully adapt to these changes and continue innovating will likely become the industry's leaders of the future. Now with the factfulness analysis that we looked at, the factfulness principles encourage us to think critically instead of accepting every news story that we face. First, the article mainly presents the perspective of Apple and OpenAI, but it leaves out viewpoints from consumers, investors, independent experts, and regulators. Second, the blame principle reminds us to not immediately assume one side is completely right or wrong, because many businesses' problems result from something much larger in the company and industry pressures. Finally, the fear and urgency principles remind us that headlines are designed to attract attention, while lawsuits often take months or even years before all the facts are even known. For the new perspectives, when we combine the HBR chapters and the factfulness analysis, it gave us a much broader understanding of the story. Instead of viewing it only as a legal dispute, we recognize that it represents the growing importance of AI in the business strategy. It also shows us that innovation, ethics, employee mobility, and intellectual property are all connected. Looking at multiple perspectives helps business leaders make better decisions rather than reacting only to headlines. In conclusion, Apple's lawsuit against OpenAI shows how valuable artificial intelligence has become in today's business environment. The HBR chapters explain why AI is transforming industries and why companies are investing so heavily in innovation. The factfulness principles remind us to think critically, consider multiple viewpoints, and avoid making quick judgments. Overall, this case is not just about a lawsuit. It represents the global competition to shape the future of artificial intelligence and business innovation. And then this is the source from the article that I used that I found on CNN Business that was only uploaded 6 days ago. So it is definitely recent. Thank you for watching.